Crown. Make some noise one more time for Caroline Buchanan.
So refreshing to me. I remember sitting there at the end of the event and going, I've lost multiple Olympic Games by trying to do the bare minimum and being defensive. But I was there to win at all costs, be offensive and win, and that won. I'm very goal driven. I have my focus board for the entire year. This year I'm super proud to say that I ticked off a majority of my goals. Queen of Crankworx, winning a speed and style stop on the Crankworx World Tour, placing in the top 3 in the overall FMB World Tour, winning bronze FMB events, winning silver FMB events, being one of the first girls to complete a gold FMB course was on the list this year, which I ticked off in Silver Star. And then District Ride, being part of the first 5 women to take on a Diamond League course and successfully ticking off every feature and making it through. Those were huge goals of mine this year. I ultimately wanted to show up and be what I couldn't see. As the doors open, that was one of my biggest goals, and what I can now sit back and say that I've achieved is being visible, being what the girls couldn't see a year ago, and being a part of history.
Go.
So coming into Whistler Speed and Style, qualified first, feeling great. First round, under-rotated a backflip. Straight to my face, whiplashed, concussion, super emotional. Had to go to hospital, scans. 2 weeks prior to that, I had another accident, ended up in hospital, bar spin up into my groin, and then District Ride. Another crash, another head hit, hospital again. 3 hospitals, 6 weeks. Those are the moments you need to listen. For me, I've had taps from the universe in the past. I'm a big believer that the universe guides us and you have to read those signs, you have to read that energy. And I had that opportunity to sit back and go, am I aligned? Am I doing what is truly set out for me? How do I get back on course? One of those things to get back on course was to dive back into my why I'm doing this, what I want to execute from the year, and ultimately how I finish races and how I remain happy and healthy. So that was really important for me to wind down the level of execution of some of the gnarliest tricks in the world, like doing a front flip in front of 40,000 people, a world's first that I only achieved for mountain biking a year ago. You know, why am I doing it again? Why am I putting such pressure on myself? And to dial it back. So that was a hard decision when you're an elite athlete. You come from a place of setting such high standards for yourself, and it is very easy for the ego to take over and to get quite caught up in massive goals and massive achievements. And sometimes it's quite humbling just to take a step back and deliver on those performances and ultimately deliver on the outcomes. We're just talking about everything feels so weird and like different, and just nerves for the sake of nerves, because you're on cobblestone, there's people and you're in buildings and District Ride, being part of the first 5 women to take on this Diamond League course, was in the middle of a medieval city. You start literally in the heart of the castle, and the first feature you drop out of the castle. The speeds were like none other, hitting G-forces in the first turn. You're riding on cobblestones, wood, you're in between building the elements. So that element of exposure and getting comfortable in that environment was huge. All us girls were completely out of our depth. We're hitting the biggest ramps we've ever hit. The final jump was an absolute monster. A monster itself, but to drop out of the window of a building with 40,000 people in the center of a city, 14-foot lip, probably a 40-foot jump to a dirt landing. It was extremely intimidating. So after district ride, I had that time to really take a step back, focus on my recovery and the rehab non-stop into Cairns. But it was also that point for me to reset mentally and not focus on the outcomes as such of the titles that I wanted to achieve and the process journeys as well. That was, I'd never won a speed and style for women. So there was all these goalposts and outcome based. What I had to do was come back to every day the performance outcomes and keep that mindset on performance. That shift, I truly believe, is what won me the title. Throughout each qualifying in Cairns and Rotorua, and then right through to every single event, every round, right down to the final, I would focus on the performance. It would be those little outcomes of whether I needed to keep my eyes up, keep my body weight forward in dual slalom, for example. The final 2 rounds of the Crankworx World Tour was an opportunity for me to get uncomfortable, to sign up for downhill events and to be completely out of my element, out of my comfort zone. By doing that, I knew that if I got to the end of the year and I'd lost by 2 points because I stayed comfortable, I would have regretted that decision forever. So to get to the end of the year, to win the overall, but to look back and go, I not only shone in the areas that I was comfortable and excelled, but I didn't hide my weaknesses, and I showed up for those events like downhill terrified, stayed in the moment, and that ultimately helped deliver the crown. Cairns was definitely that moment of the season that I wanted to quit. A few weeks out, the fear talk was setting in. I wasn't prepared. I hadn't been on the bike. I was injured. Caroline, this is your out. Those are the voices that I heard. You're out of the season. You're out of the title hunt. You're hundreds of points back. And that was that little bit of adversity to remind myself that, hang on a minute, you're a fighter. You love this. You love when your back's up against the wall. You love being the underdog. You thrive in these adversity moments. And I stepped back up to the plate, didn't use it as that excuse, and came into Cairns. Reminded myself that it didn't matter what the history had been. It mattered that I showed up on the day, 100% invested in. And I'm that gamer, and I did. I stepped up and shone, won slalom, won the pump track, podiumed in speed and style, and forged back in. Sliding scale all year. We swapped and changed that title chase all year, and it came down to the final speed and style event, the final event of the year. Geordie Scott and myself were tied on points. In the past, I've lost events like Olympic Games when I've crumbled, choked at the final minute. I took a deep breath in Rotorua and reminded myself in the past of what titles I'd lost and why. And in the past, I'd really focused on that defensive mindset versus an offensive mindset. So in Rotorua, I was not just there to win the overall Queen of Crankworx title. I was there in that final moment to play offensively, to show up and to ultimately try win my first speed and style. In the process of winning the overall, I won my first speed and style that I've ever won, and that was that offensive play. That's what won me the crown. 2022 was a huge year, full of injuries, highs, lows, disappointment, and also some huge wins. I'm so grateful for the support that I had around me and my team, and being able to clinch that crown to top off an incredible season.
Very final event of the 2022 World Tour, but coming home with the crown. Make some noise one more time for Caroline Buchanan.
Deity Diaries. I'm the queen, baby. Feels pretty good. Feels damn good. That's a wrap.